All right, more on our top story tonight. Preview of an upcoming interview on 60 Minutes strongly suggests former acting FBI director Andrew McCabe, the deputy FBI director at one point, admitted to conspiring with other high-ranking deep state officials to secretly record President Trump, remove him using the 25th Amendment, which it was not designed to be used for. McCabe's spokeswoman today denied this report, but we'll have to wait and see. Joining us now with reaction, Alan Dershowitz, professor at Harvard. He wrote the introduction to a new book featuring the text of the Constitution, which I wish some people would read in Congress, and the Declaration of Independence. And we're also joined by former Clinton pollster and advisor Mark Penn. You know, it's interesting. Both of you take heat for being on this show. Both of you take heat for being intellectually consistent and honest. I'm looking at, I've never seen a case where one candidate was favored over another and they ignored all this other Russia stuff between Uranium One and a Russian dossier, and the Espionage Act and deleting subpoenaed emails, and then bludgeon a sitting president before and after with a dossier paid for by the opposition party, Mark Penn, and never verified. And they lied to FISA courts and committed fraud.
Well, but I think what's most stunning about what we're learning is this jump to an independent or special counsel after Comey was fired, because they couldn't wait for new FBI director to be confirmed under constitutional procedures. They didn't have a crime here. No investigation had been obstructed in any way. They jumped to take this investigation and make sure that they would continue to control it and put it in the hands of their friends. And that's what's so shocking about some of the new revelations that we're learning.
You know, and Professor Dershowitz, we know they were looking into this for the 9 months prior. Comey gets fired, 8 days. This is what's going on behind the scenes. They want to wear a wire on the president. 3 different versions of what happened from Rod Rosenstein. Oh, that didn't happen. Then he's sarcastic. Then he said, well, I didn't order it. I'm a civil libertarian, I think, like you are. I mean, and then we use an unverified dossier. They don't tell the courts that Hillary bought and paid for it and it's not verified, to destroy the constitutional rights of not only one person, but a whole party.
Well, let's talk about Rod Rosenstein. He is the Deputy Attorney General of the United States. He was the acting Attorney General for this case. And he is suggesting using the 25th Amendment that was written to take care of a problem of Woodrow Wilson having a stroke or President Reagan being shot and being on the operating table. You know, these guys are watching House of Cards instead of reading the Constitution. The Constitution is as clear as can be. The 25th Amendment is applicable only if you're incapacitated. It's not a substitute for impeachment. It's not a substitute for an election. And if Rod Rosenstein actually thought about and suggested wiring the president, invoking the 25th Amendment, he should be fired before he has an opportunity to resign. He should be disgraced. The Inspector General of the Justice Department should be looking into it. This is as close as this country has ever come to the consideration of a coup d'etat, a constitutionally unlawful coup d'etat against the duly elected president. Whether you like him or not, whether you voted against him as I did or not, the Constitution has to prevail. The 25th Amendment has to mean what it says. And when you have a Deputy Attorney General thinking about circumventing the 25th Amendment, that is close to a constitutional crisis.
I've called this the biggest abuse of power, corruption scandal in American history. You're right, Professor Dershowitz, because that's what it was. And Mark Penn, it's because of 2 reasons. They don't like him. They don't like his policies. They don't like him personally. This is a frightening moment that we have been able to reveal.
Well, we know from the page-struck text that those 2 characters really hated Donald Trump. But now that everyone's gone out on speaking tours and said they also hated Donald Trump, then political animus seemed to go through the entire system and create a hysteria that created investigations that didn't have a factual basis. There was no obstruction. There was no Russia collusion. There was a dossier paid for by the other campaign that never should have led to any of this. And we're just learning the confirmation of all this as these people write books and go out and speak speak and think that they're patriots.
And it's the end justify
Professor.
the means. Anything to get Trump, no matter what the Constitution says, no matter how you must compromise the Constitution and civil liberties, anything that gets Trump. Every civil libertarian ought to be up in arms about that alleged conversation involving a Deputy Attorney General of the United States.
Professor,
the
let me ask you.
ACLU should be in this case, and they're on the other side.
Do you see crimes committed by this upper echelon in all of this attempted coup, which I agree with you? Do you see crimes?
I see political sins. I see violations of the Constitution. But again, I always have to ask the question.
Constitution's our rule of law, sir.
I have not seen crimes. Well, that's not a criminal statute. So, you know, what they did was wrong and unconstitutional.
If you lie to a FISA court, for example, and withhold exculpatory information, is that a crime?
That could be a contempt of court. And I think the FISA court ought to look into that, whether they were treated contemptuously by the state, by prosecutors.
I've got to give it to you.
Withholding
You're the greatest defense attorney
that might have
ever.
denied them.
Admit nothing, you know, but I think we all would admit that when you commit a fraud, if I committed a fraud before a court, Professor Dershowitz, you're a great lawyer. I'd hire you, and I don't think you and a dream team of lawyers could get me off. Although you pulled, you know, you've done it in the past. Good to see you all.